Good morning, students. I'm Dr. Rahul Guru, Assistant Professor here in Emeritus Gwalior. So today we are recording the second experiment of Digital Communication Lab for you. The experiment is generation and verification of a pulse amplitude modulation. Okay. So let us start. So first, before going to the direct pulse amplitude modulation, it is a PAM. So first I would like to tell you what is modulation, what is amplitude modulation, and then we will go to the pulse amplitude modulation. So I think you all have gone through analog communication in the previous semester. So in the previous semester, you all have already know what is this modulation. So the modulation is a process of modulating a modulating signal with the help of a carrier so that it can travel a far end. Because basically, why do we do modulation? Because the signals uses its strength due to various kinds of factors. So in case of modulation, when we do a modulation, one carrier signal is associated with the modulating signal. The modulating signal is one which we need to modulate and which we need to send to the far end. Okay, and then the carrier signal. So the parameter of the carrier signal has been changed throughout so that the signal can travel. This modulation is basically divided into two parts. The first one is the analog modulation, and the second one is the digital modulation. So in analog modulation, you all have studied amplitude modulation, frequency modulation, and phase modulation. Okay. Now the same modulation scheme can be carried out in a digital mode. Okay, that is a digital modulation scheme. These are called. Now, what is this pulse amplitude modulation? So, what is amplitude modulation? When the amplitude of a carrier signal is what we call the amplitude of a carrier signal is varied with respect to modulating signal, then it is called an amplitude modulation. And now, what is pulse amplitude modulation? So, in case of a pulse amplitude modulation, we consider carrier signal as a pulse. Okay, then this pulse is modulated with respect to the modulating signal, and signal is traveled to the far end. This pulse amplitude modulation is also a part of the analog modulation scheme. So, let me start the topic. So, first, this is pulse analog modulation. So in analog modulation system, some parameter of a sinusoidal carrier is varied according to the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. Now here we are talking about the sinusoidal signal, but there you can change the type of a carrier also. It's varied according to the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. Now what is instantaneous value? Instantaneous value means the value at a specific point of time. Suppose your signal is varied from 0 to 15 seconds, and now if we want to talk about instantaneous time, then we can say that instantaneous time will be like 1 second, like 2 seconds, etc. Okay, so in pulse modulation method, the carrier is no longer a continuous signal but consists of a pulse rate. So this is the difference between a pulse analog modulation and simple analog modulation. Means in simple analog modulation, what we considered sinusoidal carrier, but in case of a pulse analog modulation, what we considered carrier not as a continuous signal but as a pulse rate. So some parameter of which is varied according to the instantaneous value of the modulating signal. It is the process is same. The process is same. Only the change is what? The change is the type of a carrier signal. So now the types of a pulse modulation. So this pulse modulation is basically divided into two parts. The first one is called pulse analog modulation, and second one is a pulse digital modulation. So in pulse analog modulation, what are the different schemes? That is called PAM, that is a pulse amplitude modulation. Second one is PWM, that is a pulse width modulation, and third one is a PPM, that is pulse position modulation. And while in case of a pulse digital modulation, there are three types of scheme called PCM, that is a pulse code modulation. Second is DPCM, that is a differential pulse code modulation. And third one is a DM and ADM, that is a data modulation, adapted data modulation. So if somebody asks you how many types of pulse modulation is there, you have to simple answer. The pulse modulation is divided into two parts, that is the pulse analog modulation and pulse digital modulation, in which pulse analog modulation is again further divided into three categories, three processes, that is pulse amplitude modulation, pulse width modulation and pulse position. While pulse digital modulation scheme is divided into three parts, that is pulse code modulation, differential pulse code modulation, data modulation and adaptive data. Now, what is pulse amplitude modulation? We will discuss, because this experiment you need to discuss about only a pulse amplitude modulation. So, the amplitude of the pulses of the carrier pulse train is varied in data modulation and adaptive data. Now, what is pulse amplitude modulation? We will discuss, because this experiment you need to discuss about only a pulse amplitude modulation. So, the amplitude of the pulses of the carrier pulse train is varied in accordance with the modulating signal. That is, amplitude of the pulse depends on the value of modulating signal MP during the time of pulse. So, basically, we are modulating the pulse, modulating the amplitude of the carrier pulse with respect to what? With respect to instantaneous value of the signal during the time of pulse. Okay, so here we are considering what? This is considered as a modulating signal. This is one of the type of a sinusoidal signal. Now, what is carrier? Now, here we are not considering the sinusoidal carrier. Here we are considering the pulse carrier. So, this is a pulse carrier. Okay, so this is a pulse train. So, this pulse train is considered as a pulse carrier. Now, this pulse train will have an amplitude of a 1. Okay, now in the what is pulse amplitude modulating signal? So when this modulating signal and this pulse carrier modulating signal is overlapped, so you can check if you multiply both of them, so that the shape will be like this, the same shape, because this will have a highest value of 1. So the amplitude will be taken this, but this is the shape. This is pulse. So this shape is distributed to this carrier pulse. Okay, so this is called pulse amplitude modulation. Now, how to achieve this pulse amplitude modulation, we will discuss in the next slide. So, first the theory. In fact, the pulses in pulse amplitude modulation signal may of flat top type, of natural type, or ideal type. So again, you all have gone through the sampling. I have also told you during the practical class that sampling is of three types, that is a flat top sampling, natural sampling and ideal sampling. So in case again here the same type of process can be applied in the pulse amplitude modulation. So the flat top pulse amplitude modulation is most popular and it is widely used. The reason for using flat top pulse amplitude modulation is that during the transmission, the noise interferes with the top of the transmitted pulse, and this noise can be easily removed if the pulse amplitude modulation pulse is flat top. While in natural pulse amplitude modulation, the pulse has varying top in accordance with the signal variation. Such type of pulse is received at the receiver and it is always contaminated by noise. Then it becomes quite difficult to determine the shape of the top of the pulse, and thus amplitude detection of the pulse is not exact. Okay, like this. This is flat top. Okay, because the top of the carrier pulse is flat. Now, if we this example is of flat top pulse amplitude modulation. If it is not flat top, okay, then shape will be like this. Shape will be the same of this, but only a pulse will be there. So in that case, we do not know which type of carrier pulse top would be. Therefore, we would like to use the flat top sampling in general cases. So how to generate this pulse amplitude modulation wave? So there are two operations involved in the generation of a pulse amplitude modulator signal. Number first, the instantaneous sampling of the message signal, that is a MT. MT is considered as message signal, and ST is what? This is MT. This is sinusoidal wave. This is a message signal, and this ST is a pulse. Okay. where the sampling rate is fs equals to 1 by ts. Okay, so 1 by ts is determined from this position, is chosen in accordance with the sampling theorem. So what the sampling theorem says? The sampling theorem says that the sampling frequency should be greater than or equals to twice of fm, and that is called Nyquist rate. So lengthening the duration of each sample so obtained to some constant value of t. Okay, that's the time. So you can check that this t is what? This t is the width of this pulse, and what is ts? Ts is the time period of that pulse. So this sampling rate is determined using this formula. Okay. Now for the sample and hold circuit for generation of a flat top sample, how to generate the flat top sample pulse amplitude modulation? So this circuit is this. Here we will apply the input signal. There is a sampling switch and this is a discharge switch. Okay, and this is the capacitor. So why this capacitor is used? This capacitor is used to discharge this switch. Okay, and here we will get the our J2. Okay, so when the signal is there, so you can check that this is your message signal. It is xt, and this is gt. This is gt is what? This gt is your pulse. Okay, that is a modulated pulse. Okay, and this is flat top. Okay, so this is the flat top pulse, and this ts is considered as a time interval. Okay, and this is the sampling frequency. So this is the example. This is the diagram of a sample and hold circuit, while this is a waveform of a flat top sample pulse amplitude modulation. So this sample and hold circuit consists of two field effect transistors. So that gate G1 and G2. This G1 and G2, this switches are called field effect transistor. This field effect transistor is used. So the sampling switch is closed for a short duration by a short pulse applied to the gate G1 of the transistor. During this period, the capacitor C is quickly charged up to a voltage equals to the instantaneous sample value of the incoming signal. Okay. Now when this gate is short, this capacitor starts charging. Okay. And when this capacitor starts charging, this time is very less, so that this capacitor is charged, and this is charged up to the value of what? This is charged up to the value of this instantaneous value of this signal xt. And then in the next process, during this period, this capacitor is charged. Now the sampling switch is opened. Once the pulse is off, the sampling switch is opened and the capacitor hold the charge. Now discharge switch is then closed by a pulse applied to the gate G2 of other transistor. Due to this, the capacitor is discharged to 0 voltage. Okay, this is what this when this was charging. So this charge helped to charge this capacitor to a perfect value, and then this discharge switch is used to discharge this capacitor. Okay, so basically when this part is gone, this sample switch is on, and in this discharge switch is on, which is discharging this capacitor. Okay, due to which this capacitor is discharged to 0. So the discharge switch is then opened and thus capacitor has no voltage. Hence the output of the sample and hold circuit consists of a flat top sample like this. So this sample is pulled and this is discarded. This is pulled, this is discarded. So this is the mathematical representation of a pulse amplitude modulation. So we may express the pulse amplitude modulation signal as what? So signal st is equals to, we are considering from summation n equals to minus infinite to infinite. We are considering the infinite length pulse. This is minus infinite to infinite. This is wrong. Okay. Then m of nts, then h of t minus nts. So here this mts means your message signal. This h means the impulse response. So this MNTS means the sampled value of the message signal obtained at discretize the time. That t is considered as a t equals to NTS. And HT is what? HT is the standard rectangular pulse of a unit amplitude and duration capital T. So this is what? This is your message signal, and this is what this is your rectangular pulse. Again, so this is your message signal. This was written as MT, and this pulse is written what by what? This is written by this ht. So this ht is defined like this. Ht will have a value of 1 when time interval is less than t, and when time interval is equals to 0 and equals to t, its value would be 1 by 2 and it would be 0 elsewhere. And when we determine the spectrum of this flat pulse amplitude modulation signal is, so the equation, you know this by the duality property, SF equals to what? Fs for minus k, for k equals to minus infinite to infinite, m of f minus kfs and h of f. So this is the spectrum of a flat pulse amplitude modulated signal. Now another is the naturally sampled pulse amplitude modulated signal. So the naturally sampled pulse amplitude modulated signal is basically pulse amplitude modulated signal which is generally you can generate your lab experiment. So therefore it is called naturally sampled. So the time domain representation of that naturally sampled pulse amplitude modulated signal is given by what? This is given by st equals to tau a by ts, where ts is what? Ts is the sampling period. Then for n equals to minus infinite to infinite, mt, that is the massive signal, and this is the sync pulse, where here we are considering the simple sync of fx tau e to the power j 2 pi fst. And when we calculate its frequency spectrum, again by what? Again by determining the Fourier transform of this st. So this fs will be equal to what? Tau a by ts. This ts is not changed. Why? Because this ts is constant. Only this t is the parameter. So this t is changed. So this is from minus n equals to minus infinite to infinite, sync of n f s tau and x of f minus nfs. So you can determine the frequency spectrum of naturally sampled pulse amplitude signal using this. And now what is ideally sampled? So the instantaneous sampling is basically pulse amplitude modulation. It is ideally or instantaneously sampled. So the time domain representation is like this: st equals to minus infinite to infinite m of nts, and this pulse is considered as a data pulse. Okay, and when we calculate the Fourier transform of this, that is the frequency domain, you can check that this data is lost in this x of f minus nfs. So now if somebody asks you the carrier pulse between the ideally sampled and your flat top sampled and natural sampled, then you can say that in case of a flat top sampled, we consider the flat top pulse. In case of a natural sampled, what we consider? In case of a natural sampled, we consider a sync pulse, and in case of an ideal sampled, we consider a delta pulse. Okay, so there are three kind of pulses. One is delta pulse, which is used in the ideally sampled pulse amplitude modulation. The second one is your sync, which is used in what? Which is used in your natural sampling. And third one is what? Third one is your rectangular pulse, which is used where? Which is used in the flat top sampling. Okay. Now we calculate the transmission bandwidth of a pulse amplitude modulated signal. So in pulse amplitude modulation, the pulse duration tau is assumed to be very small compared to what? Which is compared to the time period ts between the two pulses. That is, tau is very less than when compared with the ts. Okay, so that is the pulse duration. So let I show in the figure. So this is what? This is the pulse duration. Okay, this is a tau, and this is what? This is the time period of a pulse. So this tau is considered as a very small when we compare with this ts. Okay, so if the maximum frequency in the modulating signal xt is fm, then sampling frequency fs is given by fs should be greater than equal to 2 fm, or 1 by ts should be greater than equal to 2 fm, or ts should be less than equal to 1 by 2 fm. This is nothing but a representation of this expression into 1 by ts, or this is ts equals to 1 by 2 fm. So we can say that this the time period ts should be much higher than what the pulse duration, which is less than, or and it is less than equals to what? It should be less than equals to 1 by 2 fm. That is this your ts. Okay. So if on and off time of pulse amplitude modulated signal is equal, then maximum frequency of pulse amplitude modulated pulse will be what? Maximum frequency will be 1 by tau plus tau, that is 1 by 2 tau. Okay, that is 1 by tau plus tau, so it will be 1 by 2 tau. Therefore, the transmission bandwidth should be greater than equals to f max. So F max is what? F max is equals to what? Your F max is equals to 1 by 2 tau. So bandwidth should be what? Bandwidth should be greater than equals to 1 by 2 tau, or we can say that bandwidth should be greater than equals to or very larger than this modulating frequency Fm. Now, how the demodulation of pulse amplitude modulation is done? So, in case of a demodulation of pulse amplitude modulation, we will have a pulse amplitude modulated signal, that is a XT. Then we will have a reconstruction filter, and then we use the equalizer so that the signal is converted to a message signal. This equalizer part you all have already studied where in communication network. So the distortion caused by the use of pulse amplitude modulation to transmit and analog information is referred as a aperture effect. Okay. So this distortion may be corrected by connecting an equalizer in cascade with low pass reconstruction filter. So this is low pass filter, and then low pass filter is followed by what? This low pass filter is followed by equalizer. So to remove what? There is a one problem which is called aperture effect. So the equalizer has the effect of decreasing the in-band loss of the reconstruction filter as the frequency increases in such a manner as to compensate for the aperture effect. Okay, so if somebody asks you which kind of error exists in pulse amplitude modulation, so you must say the aperture effect is there, and to remove this aperture effect, we use the equalizer. So ideally the magnitude response of equalizer is given by what? So it is given by 1 by mod HF equals to 1 by T sinc of F of T, and which is equals to what? Pi F sine of pi Ft. So the amount of equalization needed in practice is usually very small. Now we discuss the advantage of pulse amplitude modulation. So it is the simple process for modulating and demodulating. As you have already studied that there are three kind of pulse amplitude modulation, that is a flat top. So if you want to do the flat top pulse amplitude modulation, you have to use the rectangular pulse. Now if you want to use the natural, then you have to use the sync pulse. And if you want to use to do the what it is called ideally sample, then you will use the delta pulse. And its transmitter and receiver circuits are very simple and easy to construct. Okay, so this was all about this pulse amplitude modulation theory. Now we will move to the lab and we will study the.
Good afternoon, students. Before going to this practical part, as I have already told you during the theory part of this experiment, that how this pulse amplitude modulation is performed. So in this laboratory part, I will first show you the kit which setup is needed for this pulse amplitude modulation experiment, and then we will move towards the experiment. Okay, I will show you the setup, the kits, the wiring arrangement, everything. Okay, so you can see here this this is the kit. Okay, so this this is the Syntec kit. It contains three experiment, that is the pulse amplitude modulation, pulse position, and pulse width modulation. So this is a modulation and demodulation trainer both. This is a Syntec ST2110 kit. So this kit is primarily required for this experiment, and the another thing is required is this is called what? This is called CRO. So this is a CRO in which we will check what our output is. Okay, so now how to start the experiment? So first what we have to do, we have to switch on the power. So this is a power. Okay, now you can see here. So now this CRO is on, and this our Syntec kit, you can see this LED is glowing. So this is also started. Okay, now we can see this CRO first. Okay, so in this CRO part, you see this button, this is written X shift. Okay, so when you move this, your x axis the signal is varied, okay, and this is y shift. So when you move this so this is shifted towards the y axis, okay. This is a 12 trace CRO, this 2 channel CRO. So we are connecting our output to this channel 1. You can see this is channel 1 and we are connecting our output to this. Now we will move towards the Signtech kit, okay. So um, this kit is visible, okay. So you can check that there is an IC and all these IC are connected, all these IC are covered with a cello tape. Why? So that there will be no grounding, otherwise sometimes this digital ICs will not be of a working condition if we will touch by a barefoot, okay. Now you can check here. So this is an arrangement. This is the this section is a pulse output, okay. This is a function generator from where we have to generate the carrier signal and as well as the sinusoidal signal as well. So this component is called, this is the pulse input. So we will provide the pulse input from this terminal, and this is the modulating signal. So modulating signal will be given from this terminal, okay. This is the there are three combination, as I have already told you during the theory class. So this is what, this is sampled output, this is the sampled and hold output, and this is a flat top sampling output. So now we will do the connections. So now here is a power cord, this is a connecting wires which we are using. So from here we are taking 1 kilohertz signal. This is the train of pulse you have already seen. So this train of pulse signal has been given as a pulse input, okay. And then this 1 kilohertz sinusoidal signal is given as a modulating signal, okay. Now you can check this, right. This pulse is connected to what, to a pulse input, and this sinusoidal signal of a 1 kilohertz frequency is given to what, this is given to input part, okay. Now we analyze the output at the screen of a CRO, okay. So this is the lead which is coming out of the CRO. You can check this. In this lead there is a 2 wires. So black wire is called neutral, that is a ground wire, and this is a signal component. So let me check the, let me first connect the ground to this 0 volt, okay. That is, now it is grounded, okay. And then what we are connecting, we are connecting this to the pulse, which pulse we have given. So now at this screen of CRO you can see here, okay. From this we can change the time voltage division, and from this the time division, okay. Now this is the pulse input which we are giving, which we are connecting to the pulse amplitude modulation, okay. Now we check the input signal, modulating signal, okay. So now I have connected this cord to this modulating signal component. Now you can check here, okay. So again this is the sinusoidal signal, you can make a shift. So this is shifted about the x-axis, and this is a complete wave. Now we will see the output, okay. So now first we will see the only a sampled output, okay. So now you can check it here. So this is the sampled output, okay. So this sampled output is shown here in this screen, okay. Now we will move towards the sampled and hold output, okay. Now you can check this, there is a flat top, okay. In case of sample and hold, this is sampled sequence, then this sampled sequence is hold, then again discharging capacitor is there, so there is a discharge, then again it is charging, and then there is a top, okay. So this is the output of a sample and hold. Then last part is the flat top, okay. This is written here, here is the flat top. So you can check it, this is the sampled signal which is flat top sampled, okay. So this is about your this experiment, that is a what is called pulse amplitude modulation,